Okay, what I'm going to show you now is a very easy tomato sauce, and the reason why I'm going to show you this is because what we can do is what we call batch cook. What we can do is make a nice big batch of it. You can buy these plastic containers from the supermarket, so we make a big batch, we can split it down into these containers, and then they're good enough to stack up and put in the fridge or in the freezer. So what we'll do is we'll make the sauce first, and then we'll talk about what we can do with the sauce once it's completed. So, like I said in a previous video, I've been very fortunate to work around the world, and I have picked this tomato sauce up, very basic, from the Italians that I worked out with in Sardinia. And all it is pan onto the stove. Like I've said it before, you control the pan, so if the pan gets a little bit hot, then we can keep pulling it off and putting it back on. So first thing we do, chop some garlic. I've already peeled the garlic. If you want to buy the jars of lazy garlic in the supermarkets, that's just as good. Give it a bash, a little bit of a chop. If you don't want to bash it, you can cut it in slices. So what we're going to do, we're going to keep this quite rough. And it's up to you how much or how little garlic you put in it. If you like your sauces really garlicky like I do, then put plenty in. If you like it as just a background flavour, then don't put as much in. But like I said, once you've made this sauce a couple of times, you'll get to know what works for you and how much to put in. So we'll give that a little bit of a rough chop. We're not going to go mad on it. Like I said, you want to be able to taste it in the actual sauce. So we'll put that into our pan. Then what I've got is just some plain curly parsley. Off with the stalks. Once again, we're not going to go mad, we just want to give this a little bit of a rough chop. Going back to my knife skills video that I did, toe of the knife on the board and just rock it backwards and forwards, keeping the toe of the knife on the board, and just let the knife do the work and the heel of the knife do the work. Letting the blade slip down your fingers, keeping the tips out of the way. Like I say, once you get a bit more proficient at that, then you can get a little bit faster. So we've given our parsley a rough chop, our garlic a rough chop. Get that in the pan. And then what I'm going to add to it is some olive oil. Nice big bit of olive oil. Then onto the stove. And what we're going to do, we're just going to heat that through. We don't want to get any colour on it. We don't want to burn it, because that we'd have to start all over again. So what we're just going to do, we're just going to warm it through, just so that garlic and that parsley release a little bit of their flavour into the olive oil. While that's doing that, I'll show you the tomatoes. What I've got here is just some normal chopped tin tomatoes that you get from the supermarket, and that's all it is. So all we've done is we've just warmed up that parsley, that garlic in the olive oil, and then all we're going to do is add the chopped tomatoes. And I've got roughly 4 tins of chopped tomatoes there, and you can buy them in the packs of 4 in the supermarket. Tip that in and give that a good stir. Get that tomato, parsley, garlic, olive oil all mixed together. And all we're going to do with that tomato sauce now is just bring that to the boil. Once it's come to the boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer. And what I'm aiming for is, at the moment, my tomatoes come up to there in the tin. What I'm going to do is leave it simmer for a good hour. And what I want to do is reduce that sauce down till I've got about that much. So I'm going to reduce it by half at least. What that will do is that will give me a much more richer, intense tomato sauce. Once I've got to that stage, then we'll go on to putting it into the containers, what we can do with it after that. As you can see as well, that I've not put any salt and pepper or anything like that in there at the minute, because what I want to do is I want the garlic and the parsley and the olive oil to do their work, and I don't want to season it now, because by the time that reduces by half, the flavour will be more intense, so the seasoning might have been too much and it might have been too little, so I'll have to season it anyway. So what I'll do is I'll leave that reducing now for a good hour, and then we'll come back to it later on and see what we can do with it next. Right, our tomato sauce has been simmering away now for a good hour, and if you remember rightly, what we had in there was just some olive oil, some garlic, some parsley, and some just normal chopped tin tomatoes that you get from the supermarket. We've brought it up to the boil, and then we've let it simmer now for a good hour. And then what we do is we lift it off. And as you can see, that sauce has got nice and rich and thick. All the flavours have come out of the olive oil, the garlic, the parsley. And what we can do with that now we've made a big batch of it, we can get some of these nice plastic containers that you can pick up in the supermarket, and then we just ladle our sauce into the containers. Like that. And as you can see, I've got 4 there, and I've still got plenty left, just out of 4 to 6 tins of chopped tomatoes. So what can we do with this? Well, you can leave it exactly as it is there, and just add some pasta to it, any type of pasta you like. Or you could have basil and olives to one, and you've got tomato, basil and olive sauce. You could have add some chilies to this one, and have some arrabbiata sauce. You could even add some mushrooms and some tarragon, and then add them chicken pieces that you've cooked from the whole chicken to it, and then you've got chicken chasseur. And you could even buy a nice little tub of mascarpone cheese, stir that into it, and you've got tomato and mascarpone pasta sauce. Or if you don't want to do it, you could fry some mince off, add it to some mince. You could fry some beef off, add it to some beef, some lamb. Even if you wanted to go down the vegetable route, you could put some aubergines and some courgettes, fry them off, add that to it. Once you've got the basic sauce down to a T, and as you can probably see, I've not seasoned it at all. I've just used the tomatoes, the olive oil, the garlic and the parsley. When you come to decide what you want to do with it, that's when you add your salt and pepper and your seasoning, and then season it to taste how you like it. If you like it a bit peppery, add a bit more. It's entirely up to you. But once you've got that tomato sauce as a base, then pot them up, put the lids on, put them in the freezer, and you've got them there when you need them. Thank you.